Hey, what's up YouTube? Today I want to show you guys how to complete the Packet Tracer Skills Integration Challenge 6.5.1.2. So this is our scenario here. Your network manager is impressed with your performance in your job as a LAN technician. She would like you to now demonstrate your ability to configure a router connecting two LANs. Your task Your tasks include configuring basic settings on a router and a switch using the Cisco IOS. You will then verify your configurations, as well as configurations on existing devices by testing end-to-end connectivity. So we want to impress our manager here by setting up this little LAN for her. So let's see what we have to do. First thing it's asking us to do here is to name the router and the switch. It wants us to name our router floor 14 and our switch room 146. To save time, I'm just going to do the configurations on the router because they'll be exactly the same for the switch, except the names. So we're going to open up the router here, click CLI, hit enter. Notice we start off in the user executive mode. You can tell by the greater than prompt here that we're in user executive mode. We can't really do anything from here, so we need to type enable, which will get us into privilege executive mode. Now from privilege executive mode, we need to type configure terminal, which will take us into the global configuration mode, or you can type conft for short. Notice the prompt change here to config #. That's telling us that we are now in global configuration mode, where most of the configurations for the device take place. So name the router floor 14. So to do that, we need to use the hostname command. Simple enough. Type hostname floor 14. Hit enter. If you look here, it changed to floor 14, so that's done. We configured the host name successfully. Next thing it wants us to do is use Cisco as a user exec password for all lines. So what this is asking us to do is configure a password to be able to console into the router, or telnet or SSH into the router. We're basically securing all the virtual terminal lines and the console port. So to do that, we'll start off with the console port. We're going to type line con 0, which stands for line console 0. Notice that the prompt changed to the configure-line prompt, which is telling us we're in that console port. So all we have to do to set a password is just type password and the password that they want us to use, which is Cisco. Type enter, and then we need to give it the login command, which will allow us to log into the device over a console port and use that password. Hit enter. Notice that the command took successfully. There's no errors, so that's good. The next thing we need to configure are the virtual terminal lines for telnet, which will allow us to telnet into the device from a computer connected to the network. So what we can do is type line VTY 0 through 4. There's 4 virtual terminal lines. So we want to configure all of those to use the same password for now. So we do the same thing. After we do that, we type password Cisco, enter, login. Now that that's set, that basically sets up telnet. So what you would do to telnet in is type the IP address of the router and use that password to get in there, and then you can telnet in. That way you don't have to go all the way down to the server room. So now that that's done, we'll type end and just do a quick show run, which shows the running configuration. Here's our host name that we set. Here's the line console that we set. Here's the password, Cisco. Our virtual terminals are set. Oh, I guess there's actually 15. Looks like there's actually 15 virtual terminals. So virtual terminal lines. So what we need to do is go back and configure the rest of those. I thought there was only 4. So what we can do, get into your global configuration mode, type line VTY 5 through 15, hit enter. We'll give it a password, Cisco, then type login. Now those should be set. If we do another show run command here, now they're set. So the next thing it wants us to do is use class as the privileged exec password. So what that's going to do, it allows us to set a password to be able to access the privileged executive mode, because once you're in there you can get into higher functions of the router that not everybody should be able to get into. So what we need to do to configure a password to get into privileged exec mode is get into global config mode by typing conf t, and then all we have to do is type enable secret, which will enable the password for the privileged exec mode and encrypt it. Enable secret is the command, class is the password. So we'll type enable secret class and hit enter. The command took, so we're good to go there. Now watch this, I'm going to exit out. If we use the CLI tab here, it's simulating that we're actually using a console connection, so that's why it's prompting us for that password, which was Cisco. Now if we type enable, whoops, it's going to ask us for a password to be able to get into privileged exec mode, which is class. Now we're in privileged exec mode. Alright, so the next thing it wants us to do is encrypt all plain text passwords. So if you noticed earlier, our password showed up in the show run command in the configuration settings. The password just showed up in plain text for our VTY lines and console lines. So what we want to do is encrypt those plain text passwords. So to do that, we're going to get into global config mode, and we're going to give it the service password -encryption command. Type enter, and what that'll do is encrypt all those plain text passwords for us. So now that that's done, it wants us to configure an appropriate banner, a banner message of the day. So we're already in global configuration mode, so the command to do that is banner MOTD, or message of the day, and we're going to have to hit space, type a delimiter, which is the £. This is where our message will reside, and we type our message. Do not access this router, or you shall be smitten by the Cisco gods. And to end that message, we type another £, or delimiter, showing that our message resides within the delimiters. Hit enter, and that's done. So if we exit out of here, we can see our message of the day that we just set. So that's cool. The next thing we want to do, it's asking us to configure addressing for all the devices on the addressing table up here.